Like I say, shouts out to all of our brothers and sisters out there in social media land. This is indeed a great day to be alive. This is a day that the Most High Heavenly Father has made. We should rejoice and be glad in it. We're going to finish our last video dealing with family structure, but what we're going to be dealing with is we're going to be dealing with prophecy on today. And we're going to the last clip that we did, we done three videos aimed at our brothers, dealing with responsibility, accountability, family structure, and we did one video dealing with our sisters. However, the video that we did dealing with our sisters, Facebook made it skip so bad to where there was no possible way for us to be able to enjoy that video in its fullness. So what we're going to do, we're going to all the way bypass. We already know that when it comes down to dealing with sisters, that's not something that's taken lightly. Now, me personally, I believe that sisters should be the ones that police sisters, but that don't seem to be how it is. Sisters make excuses for other sisters, foolishness and stupidity. Anytime we're going to try to deal with that. So what we dealing with the brothers. I believe that if men stand up and start being men, then sisters going to automatically have to become what they supposed to be. Now, that's my personal belief. So I believe that as long as a man is weak and keep falling as a victim to sisters that desire to be sexual without no accountability, then these situations are going to continue to perpetuate themselves. So, like I say, good morning to all the brothers and sisters out there in social media land. We're still dealing with the family structure. Family structure is the most important thing that God has put into this world. And we're going to look at some prophecies to show you the greatest destruction that's about to come upon the family in the future. But before it happens, all of these things, they have to happen and take place first. So brothers, once again, we say it, what is man that the Most High is mindful of him? For God hath made him a little lower than the angels, and have crowned him with glory, and have set him over all of the work of his hands. And brothers, you have to understand that women are an extension of us. Women are the work of the Most High's hands. And the Most High have set us as men over everything that was the work of the Father's hands. Now, grant you, many of our sisters have experienced great trauma at the hands of ignorant men who have no sense of responsibility of what their purpose is, what their responsibility is when it comes to having dominion over the earth, subduing the earth, replenishing the earth. Many men have lived their life apart from the instruction of the Most High and have caused trauma out of their ignorance to roll out on our sisters. So we're not excusing men at all. We're telling brothers it's time for you to stand up. It's time for you to find out what it is to be a God man, what it means to be a God man. Because you have to be in a position to where your sister develops a desire to subject herself up under your care, knowing that she's going to be fully cared for, knowing that she's going to be far better off with you than she would be without you. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to take a look at some things, because many people are not on Instagram. Many people are not on TikTok. Many of us of an older age, we're not a part of these things, so we don't understand the extent of the damage that has been done and is being done when it comes to the family structure. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a couple of video clips so that brothers and sisters can get an idea of the gulf and of the assassination attempt that's coming against the family that's supposed to exemplify the Father's righteousness in the earth. With that being said, I'm just going to roll some of these video clips and And I hope that you brothers and sisters get something. As we said before, we're going to deal with prophecy and something that's about to take place concerning the destruction of the family. So, let's go.
Attention all Medicare recipients, this is a new announcement.
We'll get past the commercial in 1 second.
There are certain Medicare Advantage.
Show me your tax returns, show me your bank statements, show me your face, show me your profile, your side profile, show me your body, top to bottom, do a 360. Those are the requirements for you to come for me. Those are the requirements for you to come for me. Okay.
Show me you're still fit when you take your Gymshark leggings off.
Show me your tax returns, show me your bank statements, show me your face, show me your profile, your side profile, show me your body, top to bottom, do a 360.
Show me your side profile. Show me your body, head to toe. Do a 360.
That is a long list of requirements for what I can see is a very basic B.
Show me your tax returns, show me your bank statements, show me your face, show me your profile, your side profile, show me your body, top to bottom, do a 360.
Show us your body count. Show us that you actually came from a good family. Your parents still together. That might play a big part.
Show me your tax returns, show me your bank statements, show me your face, show me your profile, your side profile, show me your body, top to bottom, do a 360.
Show me that you have a personality. Show me that you don't need to wear makeup the second you wake up every day and use a trowel to put it on. Show me that you're loyal and that I don't have to worry about you going out with the girls and going home with 3 or 4 guys. Show me that you don't have an eating disorder and when we go out you're not just going to order a fucking salad. Show me you got a personality beyond a rock. Show me your education level.
Show me your tax returns, show me your bank statements, show me your face, show me your profile, your side profile, show me your body, top to bottom, do a 360.
Show me you can cook. Show me you can clean. Show me the best sandwich you ever made. Show me your medicine cabinet. Show me your therapist's contact information. Show me your baby daddy's child support information. Show me your Snapchat and your DMs. Show me your melons. Show me your cat.
Show me your tax returns, show me your bank statements, show me your face, show me your profile, your side profile, show me your body, top to bottom, do a 360.
How about no, you crazy lady? You're so greedy. We don't want it. Men don't care.
Show me your tax returns, show me your bank statements, show me your face, show me your profile, your side profile, show me your body, top to bottom, do a 360.
And then he should show you to the door, sister.
Let's skip to showing you the door.
This is the story of a guy who pretended to go to the bathroom but really ditched me on a date. So I met this guy for dinner and drinks. Right from the start, I could tell that we were not compatible. He was talking about how much he loves strip clubs, and that's a lot to hear on our first date. So I was getting ready to tell him, like, listen, let's not do dinner. Let's just do this one drink. We're not compatible. In a nice, polite way. When he excused himself to use the bathroom, seriously, 10 minutes went by. And the manager of the restaurant comes and gets me. And I can tell he is so embarrassed. And he has to explain to me that my date has left. So I gather my things to leave. And the manager is like, but I also have to tell you, he did not pay for your drink. What? You're telling me this man ditched me, didn't even have the cojones to tell me, snuck out the back, but didn't even pick up my drink? What? So I did what any strong, confident woman would do. I cried about it in the bathroom, womaned up, paid my tab, sent him an angry text message. I wish the story has a better ending, but that's really just how it ended. Now I laugh about it. Rejection sucks, but it's a part of life. Has something like this ever happened to you? For more rejection story times, don't forget to follow.
So what do you guys think happened? Yes, you're correct. I followed her because I want to...
He's not ugly. Like, to women, ugly and hot are not opposites. They're not mutually exclusive. You know, like, hot is like the conclusion, like the overall conclusion you reach about, like, if you're into a guy. And, like, ugly to handsome is just one axis, right? Then you have boring looking to interesting looking. And then in, like, the third dimension, you have, like, his, like, personality and, like, the context. So Henry Cavill, I think, is a good example. He's handsome. He has good bone structure, but he's not always hot. Like, as Superman, too boring, not hot, right? As The Witcher, he has, like, cool white hair, and he's, like, very gruff and reserved, but he's also very, like, caring towards animals and children. That's hot, right? When he's, like, in person as himself, talking about his interests very animatedly. He's like, I love D&D. I built my own PC. Like, here's how I did it. Like, I might as well be pregnant at that point, and men don't get why, you know?
Men don't get why because of the mental gymnastics you have in your head when you are basically just trying to say, he has to make me feel a certain way. Otherwise, it doesn't matter because I'm not a logical person and I'm ruled by emotions. Oh, and by the way, if you're a logical person, give a sub.
stop fucking ghosting. This ghosting culture has gotten so out of hand, it's actually astronomical. It is utter bullshit. My friend is gorgeous. She is in her mid-30s. She's successful. She's incredible. She's an awesome person. So fun to be around and doing so much work on herself. And she met this guy, Hinge or some shit. They had 3 great dates. He was communicative, not too much, no love bombing. They didn't sleep together, for everyone that wants to try and blame her for any of that bullshit. And they had some great dates. Everything was seemingly normal. They went out like a week ago. They had a great time. He texted her saying, I'd love to see you again. They were texting, a couple times a day here and there. And then he said, listen, I'm not really feeling well. I'm just going to take a rest. She's like, okay, no worries. Feel better. Didn't hear from him for a few days. So she texted him like, hey, just want to make sure you're feeling okay. Never to be heard from again. And this is the type of shit I'm saying. Be a grown up. Just because you're not into somebody, whether you met somebody else or you're not that into them or you really, whatever, I don't really give a shit what your reasoning is. Just send a text. Hey, I think you're great. I had a really great time getting to know you, but this is not the connection I'm seeking. Take care. It takes 2 seconds to be a grown-ass adult. But for all of these cowards that are hiding by their phone, don't give me this bullshit. Oh, it's better for the other person. I'm not hurting them. And it hurts them to tell them the truth that I met someone else.
First of all, ma'am, if your friend swears as much as you, no wonder she got ghosted. Second, she's in her mid-30s. That's why she got ghosted. And third, only you think that you had a great connection. If you ask the guy, I'm sure he would say something different. And because most women your age start ranting and swearing like you do, in my opinion, it's better just to block you. I don't need to deal with your wacky emotions.
Now,
across the country, Chevy's.
Now we're gonna make clear what we're saying. In these videos, we're not just dealing with the condition that our sisters is in, because our sisters wouldn't be in those conditions if it were not for the condition that the brothers is in. Right now, what we're dealing with is the family structure and the damage that fornication has done, and the mindset that sex without marriage has put our people in, to where they're no longer able to exemplify what righteous family structure is. And these things are leading up to a fulfillment of prophecy, which we will get into as we continue to go on. So let's go back in and let's see what we got after the commercial.
Certified service technicians have logged over 1 million combined hours of training.
Honestly, I'm really tired of what dating is in 2022. It's never, let me take you out on a nice date, or let's visit somewhere cool. It's always, come over and cuddle and watch a movie so it will lead to more. You don't meet people by interacting in public and being social anymore. We rely on dating apps and Snapchat. You don't just have to worry about your partner cheating by hooking up in person. You have to worry about them looking at people's OnlyFans or watching porn or getting nudes from girls or watching thirst traps on TikTok. You rarely hear cute, loving stories about how people met. Instead, it's, oh, we met on Tinder, we fucked a few times, and then eventually started dating. You don't have hour-long phone calls talking about life in your day anymore. Instead, you keep in touch by sexting on Snapchat. You never hear, oh, I want you in my future. Instead, you hear, oh, I want you on top of me in bed. But seriously, it is so up. And the sad thing is we are used to it. It truly has become the norm. And I really hope I'm not the only one who is absolutely fed up with it.
Well, ma'am, you can thank feminism and sexual liberation. Because of that, men know that they don't have to take you out on dates anymore or have a relationship or marriage to smash. So we just adapted to how things are now.
So us girls, when we get together, we clearly talk about who we've gotten matched to, who we saw, and what's going on. And like in Toronto, when we sit and talk, we see that we are all talking to the same people and matching with the same people. So, like, for example, I would tell my friend, yeah, I just matched with, so she would, like, match with a mic, and I would match with a mic, and then we would show each other, and she's like, oh, this is the mic I'm talking to. I'm like, that's the mic I'm talking to, too. And so, You know, we sit and tell each other, and you guys are matching and playing around and fooling. Like, you say one information different to somebody else, and then you tell me something else, and then tell our other friend something else. And aside from that, you guys have totally no standards. You just like everybody. Like, if you go through our list, like, you'll see that we have a specific type. Like, when you go down my list, you'll see like the type of person I like, because they all kind of look the same. Whereas we are like all girls, all friends, and we all look different. Like, one is blonde, one is bigger, one is smaller, one is like really thin, one is like very simple, one is a lot of makeup, and then you just see them like everyone just to talk. And we literally make fun of you guys, literally. And like, despite, yeah, I know the girls do the same, they match and they talk, but girls are more serious. Like, my whole circle of friends are looking for a serious relationship. And then, like, you'll see, like, the person's talking to me, and then meanwhile they'll ignore me and talk to someone else, and then, see, that's not going anywhere.
Let me pause this video right here just for a second, just to draw a line of distinction. You see, the difference between God men and grimy men is that God men have standards that they're going to live by when it comes to what the Most High expect from a marital union, when it comes to sexuality and all of those things. So God men have a different standard. Now, grimy men don't have no standard, because they want objective is this: to get up in the draws and to smash and then walk away with absolutely no responsibility at all. Now, we're dealing with men now. Now, here's the issue. The sisters keep ending up with the grimy men, even though they desire to have God men, they end up with grimy men because of all these false standards that they set for men. Now, a God man, he's going to hold a woman to a level of accountability. Now, when we start dealing with accountability, what's expected and what's required of a sister, many of our sisters are going to take off and ruin, because what they don't understand is they don't understand that this standard is not coming from the man himself. This standard is coming from a particular set structure that's dealing with family values and longevity, that has to be passed down to whatever woman that a man hooks himself up with. So when a God man sees a certain type of woman, it's instantly. It's either he's rejected by that woman, or he's going to be the one to reject that woman. However, the men that these women are shooting after, they'll meet the criteria because they might have the money, they might have the status. If you got the money and your status, then you can produce the look and you can produce all of the things. Those are the things that women desire to have. However, it's one thing that they're not counting on. You're going to get a grimy man, because this man, he ain't going to hold you accountable to nothing. Only thing he want to do is smash you, add another body to your count, and go on about his business. This thing will continue to perpetuate itself. So when you start looking at these particular things dealing with relationship, and right now, grant you, I know that you ain't seen nothing but European people on here so far. Well, there's no way possible for European people to come into Abraham's blessing unless they see the example of what family structure is really designed to be. That's going to come from the Negro family. That's going to come from the children of Abraham, because it is in the children of Abraham that all the other families of the earth will come to be able to receive a blessing. So it's like we're going to have to get ourselves together and get our minds right. And that's why I keep directing people's attention back. Don't focus on the man. Don't focus on the woman. Focus on what God sees. How does God see you? When you focus on how God sees you and you start worrying about what does God require of me as a man, as a woman, as a husband, as a wife, then we move into those areas, and now we can flow together. But this stuff is perpetuating itself for a reason. This is about the fulfillment of prophecies that are about to roll out in the future, that's going to wreak havoc on the families of the earth. So let's keep going.
Talk back with me, go on a date, ghost me, go on another. Like, how do you guys handle it? I can't even handle one person. How do you handle so many people at the same time? Meanwhile, you're saying I'm looking for a serious relationship, but all you're doing is handling 1,000 different people. And then I have my friends calling like, Yossi, we just got ghosted. What, is there something wrong with me? I'm like, no, this is how it's going for everyone. Don't think you're alone. Like, if these dating apps, like, literally halfway through the conversation.
One of the reasons why these sisters were getting ghosted is because they're dealing with men that are not operating up under no righteous standard. Okay, so the only thing they want to do is have sex with you and then go on about your business. But men ain't going to put up with all of that nonsense. They're not going to put up with all that nonsense, because a brother that got money and a brother got status, that got his bag, and then he's not going to put up with all that nonsense. Either you're going to drop the panties, or quite naturally, you're going to get ghosted, because you're going to have to bring more to the table than a pretty face and all of these words. All of these things are a result of fornication. Fornication is the number one key thing that people don't want to deal with. That's sex outside of marriage.
Everybody dies, or like you never get to meet the person, or literally you meet the person after 2-3 times you feel like something's wrong. You know, I've had that a lot, where I've noticed something's off, and then I notice, oh, okay, well, he's all over the place. Clearly they just say things you like, but it's not true. And the worst part is that they think that, okay, you know, nobody wants to put in the time anymore. Okay, like, if this doesn't work, next one, and that's where you're wrong. Because when there is no commitment, you will never get anywhere successful with a relationship.
Okay, I had to stop it here because she was talking too much and it was like a 4-minute rant saying the same thing. Ma'am, we have studies and app data that shows 100% of women swipe right only on the top 5% of men. Even if you are all different, as you said, you are all looking for the same guys. And of course, those guys have options and will try to get with all of you. Men swipe right on 53% of all women's profiles. So I don't understand why they are so surprised when all women go for the same men. You can find the links to the data in the description of the video.
This is right now in your neighborhood. Now, listen, we're from the lower level now. But even in our neighborhood, to where, you know, ain't nobody got no millions of dollars and all that, you still got the same thing. You still got the majority of women that's chasing after the handful of guys because of what they got. They want the dope dealer because he got the cars and he got the money. They want the brothers that got the popularity and the status when they come out. All of the women chase after these one or two, or this handful of brothers. Never mind, you got all these other brothers around of different mindsets. Some of these brothers would love to have a woman. Some of these brothers would love that. But our sisters have a habit of chasing after the same grimy men. And when they have to deal with the repercussion from that foolishness, because what they thinking, guess what? The man's already aware of. He already know what you thinking. You coming after his money. You want to put a baby up under it. You want child support for the next 18 years. You want all of this stuff. You want to be pampered. You want to ride around in a nice car. You want to do all this, but you want to do it with absolutely no accountability. So guess what? This individual, he don't need no accountability from you. He don't want none. Now, the brother over there that had the nice, stable job, the brother over there that'll care for you, the brother over there that'll take you like you are, he can't get the time of day. And one of the reasons why he can't get the time of day is because he's going to expect something from you too. See, and it's time out for sisters having all these grand expectations of men, when men can't have no expectation of you whatsoever. See, that playing field ain't even, and it's not balanced. And because sisters don't want no accountability from men, the average sister will say, I don't want to be up under no man. Ain't no man going to be telling me what to do. Ain't no man going to do this. Ain't no man going to do that. Well, let me tell you something, sister. It's nothing wrong with a man doing that. Because a man is supposed to be responsible for you. A man is supposed to protect you. Many times the thing that God men tell women is for their own benefit and for their own protection. A man's supposed to provide for you. A man's supposed to help you out, whether you're a single mother or whatever. He'll take you and have to be responsible for your children. He have to deal with all of that. You have to deal with the whole ball of wax. And it's foolish of you to think that you're going to get a God man and then you are not going to accept the personal accountability of being the woman that you are supposed to be. That's complete foolishness. It ain't going to happen. So what you're going to end up with is you're going to end up with a long process of women getting grimy men and never getting the results. And as they start growing older, they desire to be married to a man and have somebody of their own. It's going to intensify. It's going to intensify 100 times. So, brothers and sisters, you better hear me. Now, if you're a brother, you practicing to be a God man, you practice to be a God man. You don't take no mess off of nobody, especially off no woman. You prepare yourself. I'm going to be the man that God told me to be. I'm going to have dominion. I'm going to rule over my house like a king reigns over his subjects. I'm going to be fruitful and multiply. I'm going to be able to teach my family all the things that the Most High have blessed me to be able to learn. I'm going to be able to subdue everything. I'm going to be able to bring everything up under my subjection while I'm walking in righteous leadership. I'm going to be able to replenish whatever has been taken out, whatever trauma has been experienced, whatever bad thing have befallen my sister. I am going to be the one to heal her from those particular things. But I'm also going to be the one to hold her to the utmost accountability. And it's crazy that a woman can be exposed to all of those wonderful things and throw it all out the window simply because she is challenged to be accountable. This is the greatest issue in any marriage in this hour. Personal accountability that comes from a man's God-given authority and his right to be able to give righteous counsel and righteous instruction to his woman. It gets through all out the window. And we showing these clips because many people, when we do these videos, many people think, oh, they just talking about the women. Well, you're not going to say that with me because I go hard on the brothers as well. If they grimy, I'm going to call them grimy. If they weak, I'm going to call them weak. If they pussyfooted and timid and don't have no backbone, I'm going to call it like I see it. And many of the brothers that you sisters are going out after fit this description. They are weak men because they don't have the ability or the power to reject you and abstain from fornication. They are timid because they don't hold you to accountability and let you do whatever you want to do. They are pussyfooted men. And these are the men that you keep on choosing and expecting to have a good life with. And because you keep choosing them, God said you ain't going to have no good life because you choosing the wrong man.
I want to take back every nice word I ever said about you. I want to scribble out every love poem I ever wrote. I want to tell the world I got it wrong. You're not the nice guy I made you out to be. You're not the muse that I thought you were. You're just another nice guy masquerading as such. You're just another nice guy. He turns out to not be nice. Who fooled us. Who keeps fooling us.
It doesn't matter what you think!
You know what's pretty sad to me is I get impressed when guys do the absolute bare minimum, like not make a perverted comment to me after talking to you for a week. Just proves how many shitty guys I've actually been with. Just saying.
Nobody cares. No one.
So what I'm doing is I'm just simply exposing you brothers and sisters to the condition of this generation. All right? So let's not get it confused. This ain't no slander on the women, but you got to call a spade, and you got to look at it for what it really is. Say anything that's happening between men and women, it's men and women. And everybody has a part to play, and everybody has a responsibility, and everybody has a personal accountability. One of the greatest accountabilities that we can come face to face with is this. We need to digest the fact that the generation that walked before us never taught us properly when it came to relationship, and the way that we learned, the things that we learned brought us straight into fornication, which ultimately is the thing that caused the destruction to roll out in our life. That's fornication. So a man can't cry about child support because fornication is at the root of it. A woman can't cry about a no good man, this and that, the other, men, dogs, and men. Fornication is the root of it. You see, when we allow ourselves to do things that are against God, I don't care what transpires after the fact. It is what it is. And the sooner we come face to face with that, the more we're going to understand. Now, when we look at every generation going to get worse and worse, if two things don't happen. If first we're not taught what God expects, what God requires of a man and a woman when it comes to family structure. Let me tell you something. My man and my woman, that's not family structure. No boyfriend, no girlfriend, that's not family structure. That's fornication. And that's why it don't work. That's why it leads to more destruction. That's why it leads to fatherless children. That's why it leads to 4 or 5 baby daddies. That's why it leads to, because fornication is not family structure. If you don't have a husband, you don't have nothing. If you don't have a wife, you don't have nothing. You can't hold somebody that's not being fully committed accountable to anything. And it is foolish that we will have the mindset to think that this is how it's supposed to be. Man, my man cheated on me. How your man gonna cheat on you if you ain't his wife? See, if a man don't have a wife, he don't have nothing. And he don't have no accountability to it. My woman cheated on me. My woman, listen, if your woman ain't no wife, she has no personal accountability. So she can't cheat on you. And these are some of the things that we need to digest and get in our head the next time we decide to bring a man and bring a woman home. Before we start pulling our clothes out, we need to understand this, that my cootie is not going to be what attaches this man to me. And my penis ain't going to be what attaches this woman to me. What it's going to do is going to cause both of our lives to be in a worse state because we still don't have the mindset to where we're ready to accept the accountability of the family that God means to be in the earth. Now let's go. We're going to pull up something with some sisters now. After the commercial.
Those on Medicare could be eligible for a healthy grocery allowance up to $900.
I do apologize. I'm not as technologically advanced as many of the other brothers on social media, so I have to make the adjustments and do it however I can. So let's go. Let's check out some of these sisters.
Like I know wood. I feel good. Hey. Hey, what's up, man? Why are you so happy back there and I'm taking you to jail? Hey, man, I'm so happy, boy. When you're taking me, I got 24 hours away from my wife, man.
Understand? I don't hate her. I hate what she's become.
Just make a plea to the married women. I don't want your husband at all. I just feel like if you know a single mother, can you send your husband to help us out a little bit? Like there's stuff that I didn't know about you. I didn't.
Oh, now you better keep that in mind right there. You better keep that in mind. If you're a single mother, can you just? I don't want your husband. Can you just send him to help us out a little bit? You better stay right there. You better keep that in mind because those are the prophecies that's on their way to being fulfilled. And we're gonna go to the scripture and read them.
No. Sherry. You got it all wrong. So let me get this straight. You want the married men to now go help out the single mothers. Yeah. I ain't even gonna say nothing. Roll the Vandals clip.
No. Reality can be whatever I want.
Hey, how tall are you? I'm 6'8". Stop the cap. You are not 6'8", bro. I got a measuring tape right here.
Alright, maybe with those shoes, bro. You're about 6'2", not 6'8".
Congratulations. You played yourself.
What? How has he been measuring himself all these years if he thought he was 6'8"? That had to be... I don't... Because ain't no way you really thought you was 6'8". That had to be a prank. Either way, it was hilarious. Roll the next clip.
Open the door, Amy.
Okay, I don't have a key on.
Who's here? So how long you been messing around with my wife?
What you mean?
What do you mean what I mean?
Just
No. You want me to leave?
no.
Are you in love?
Now, I might be stepping on the edge with saying this, but I'm going to just go ahead and take a guess and say, I don't think it's love that's going on right there. No. Now, what I do think would happen is she found a guy who was desperate enough and willing enough to clap her cheeks.
Now, that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about grimy men. See, grimy men don't care. A grimy man, he do not care. But a grimy man can't sleep with a married woman unless that married woman invite him in. Okay, so you got one that refuses to accept the personal accountability as being a wife, and then you got a brother out there ready to take advantage of that. That's the weak, sissified, pussy-footed, timid man with no backbone to be able to stand up and say, you know what, this is wrong in the eyes of God. And let me put myself in a position of a husband. I wouldn't want a man doing that to me. But you won't have no idea how many grimy men out here that'll look for the opportunity to sleep with another man's wife if she gave him the opportunity. And if she give him the opportunity, he gonna do it.
No matter how weird you may think that is. But you want to know something crazy that I think? The only reason why he asks, are they in love? Because he wants to leave that door open and might take her back. Roll the next clip.
You got nothing. Do you know what the hell you doing?
No, shut the hell up talking to me. I always got that goddamn thing in my goddamn face so that America can know what I'm doing.
Baby, please don't blow up the goddamn house.
It's my house, Gwen. I hope your ugly ass in there when it do blow.
Asshole.
You look very nice today. I just wanted to tell you.
I typically do. It's worth more than you can comprehend. So we have 50,000 here. We got 25K here. I mean, this purse is one of a kind. I don't think it's even sold in mass. Pants are about 10 grand. The boots are 12. Yeah. What are yours?
I don't know. How much is your hair?
Oh, natural.
Are your diamonds real though? Cause like I be catching a lot of people, and it just seems like you got that fake energy.
Oh really? Cause I see like you got that broke energy. You got that broke energy. Oh! Watch it. Are you gonna test my real diamonds or not, sweetie? Cause I really need to get to my penthouse. I don't have time for you.
What?
Careful.
I didn't even touch.
Be careful.
Okay.
Real. Cool. Go get the other one too. Real.
Alright.
Real. Well, now go back to your little cardboard box under the bridge, troll. Oh!
I hate.
But
What you gonna do?
why you got this big old TV in our room?
Who's gonna check me?
Your wife.
I can't be checked. I'm uncheckable.
Why is there a 85-inch television in my bedroom?
Now, you know what you always tell me, right?
What?
Baby, it was on sale.
Uh-oh.
So I got it. It was on sale.
Tell you. That's not what I tell you.
Why you lying? Why you always lying? It was on sale.
So what's the purpose of 85? Is it gonna fit on that wall?
85? What? Is it gonna fit on the wall?
That's what I said.
If there's a will, there's a way.
Sir.
Won't he do it? He did it.
Who did it?
I watched him.
What? Who is him?
You know who him is?
Who?
Him bless you all the time.
Why me?
Simple. Blessings on blessings.
Simple, don't listen.
Blessings on blessings.
Can we please stop saying pregnant women?
Boys are boys from the beginning. If you were born a boy, you stay a boy. Girls are girls right from the start. If you were born a girl, you stay a girl and grow up to be a lady. Only girls can be the mommies. Only boys can be the daddies.
Man, shout out to Mr. Rogers. I know I grew up with him for a portion of my early childhood development. Who would imagine that in today's society, something Mr. Rogers was saying would be seen as so controversial? All the times we live in today. Roll the next clip.
And slide, like this is really what we talking about. This is shit, man. Mm-hmm. This is like the mentality of someone because she's saying if you got a bigger bag, then I'll listen. Right. Stay home. But if their bag ain't right, I'm out. That's all. You know?
That's that be the clickbait. 50 Cent calls.
Yeah, I mean, all right, she said that. You set this up, baby.
Right, no, you went there.
Man, love him or hate him, 50 gonna tell you what it is. You can't be mad at that. Crazy thing is, throughout this whole thing, at no part was I saying to myself, man, he better watch out for Dwayne Wade. And I might be wrong, but I'll step out on the limb and say it. I don't think none of y'all was thinking that either. Y'all know why. Roll the next clip.
So I was kicking with these two chicks, and they was having a conversation like protect all women, protect black women, you know, believe all women. That conversation not for me, so I just, you know, zip it. You know what I'm saying? They was like, you relatively quiet today. I was like, I know. I know. They was like, wow. I said, because if I get into this conversation, you're not going to like my answer. They're like, wow, for real? You don't believe all women? I said, no, I don't even believe all people.
That boy is good.
So that's out the window. They was like, well, you wouldn't protect us if we was in an altercation. I said, well, it depends. Like, what altercation are we talking about? They was like, say if we got to it with a dude and, you know, we going back and forth, but you step in and protect us. I said, well, it depends, because, you know, if y'all going back and forth, that means you feel like you could beat his ass. You know what I'm saying? Like, because, I mean, I don't talk crazy to nobody. I feel like I can't whoop. Aha! Aha! You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, you gotta weigh the situation. The probability is not gonna be in your favor. You know what I'm saying? I'm genuine.
Got him.
Broadway in 30.
Okay, so let's get serious. Let's get serious now. Let's deal with some prophecy. Okay? That's what we're gonna do. Let's deal with some prophecy. Let's deal with some prophecy that brothers, y'all better get your minds right. I'm telling you that now. Now let me show you something that's going to take place. Let me get this iPad out here. Now, don't nobody get mad at me, because we dealing with the scripture. And we showing you what all this fornication is doing to the family. So let's go here. We're going to, let's get this off. Let's pull up this scripture. We're going to go to the book of Isaiah, 3rd chapter. Yeah, we're going to go to the book of Isaiah, 3rd chapter. Now, before we go into this, I'm going to tell you where all of this is headed. Because as sisters get older and they realize that they have been making mistakes by their choices and by the standards that they got set as far as what type of men that they're going to get, when they get to the point to where they have been used up by all of these men that they were chasing after, and now they realize that after 35, 40, 50, you looking at life alone, and you're looking at the probability of a man choosing you to be a wife becomes very slim. Now, desperate people gonna start doing desperate things. And it really don't make no difference how people feel about it, because it's written in the scripture, and this is what we dealing with. My job is to show you what the scripture have to say. I'm a lover of people, period. I'm a lover of men and a lover of women. But I'm a lover of the Most High and his righteousness first. And even though I'm an imperfect man, I'm a sinful man, I don't have it all together, you know what I'm saying? I still don't deny the fact that what God requires is true. And I have to find a way to live up to those expectations above everybody else's expectancy of what they think I should be. So let's go here. Isaiah 3rd chapter. Isaiah 3rd chapter. So we're going to go to Isaiah 3rd chapter. Like I say, peace and blessings be upon everybody that's listening. To our sisters that's on the line, understand that this is a message of pure D love coming at you. If you can accept it and receive it, that is not your brother's word, that is the Most High's word, and you can see it for what it is, then now that makes you more equipped to start dealing with the daughters and the other sisters. Because I don't believe that men are the ones that should deal with women. I believe that men have a responsibility for the women of their house, for their wives, and for their daughters. Outside of that, just women on the whole, women have to understand how to police each other. So we just looking at this thing from the standpoint of a structured family. So let's go see. We're going to pull up Isaiah. And we're going to start at the 12th verse of Isaiah. The 12th verse of the 3rd chapter. As for my people, their children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. O my people, they which lead thee, cause thee to err, and to destroy the paths of their way. That's the Most High showing us where our problem is. He said, oh, my people, as for my people, their children are the ones that's oppressing the whole family issue, because they are living their lives totally separated from my instruction. He said, and the reason why is because women are ruling over the children. They don't need no man. They don't need no man. I don't need no man. Only thing a woman need a man for is sex. You know why? Because when a woman don't want to accept personal accountability, she develops what I call, and don't take this wrong, but don't get me confused with no Sunday morning preacher, because I ain't him. She develops what's called a hungry pussy. And what that means is that when a woman has a hungry pussy, she has a desire to be sexual with a man without the personal accountability that God gives a woman for the reason why he created sexuality. And so it says now, as for my people, their children shall be their oppressors. That means that this particular people of God, their children are going to be the one oppressing everybody, because they're growing up without instruction. And the reason why they're growing up without instruction is because women are ruling over them. They don't have no man. And if you're a sister and you keep saying in your mind, you done nursed yourself into this foolish thought that you don't need no man, and like I said before, you like a power wire that have come loose from the pole, and you're a destructive force in the world. And it's written right here in the scripture for your own reading. Now, the reason why the world is so crazy now is because of single parent families. That's why it's so crazy right now. Women are ruling over it, and women need instruction of men in order to live the life that the Most High have set. Now, that's not negating the fact that there's some grimy men out here, but you women get the opportunity to pick and choose what man you're going to spend your life with. So if you chasing after a man that's purely about status, he don't care about you, you're going to get a grimy man, and at the end of the day, you won't be able to blame nobody for it but yourself. But the reason why the world is in the condition that it's in, we showed you last time how the whole flood, everybody talk about the Nephilim and the giants and how Noah had to build an ark and the flood. But what they don't tell you is that it was the uncontrollable woman that was the responsible for the whole world being destroyed the first time. Because when those angels lusted after them, those women lusted after their form and lusted after their beauty. And even while they had husbands, they opened up their legs and committed a heinous act. And the children that they produced became giants in the earth. And God had to destroy the whole world. And nobody wants to talk about what was at the root of it. Fornication was at the root of it. A hungry pussy. So let's go. Now, we're going to show you why that this particular thing. So let's just read. He says, as for my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. O my people, they which lead you, cause you to err and destroy the path of your way. The Lord standeth up to plead and standeth up to judge his people. The Lord will enter into judgment with the ancients of his people and the princes thereof, for you have eaten up the vineyard, the spoil of the poor in your houses. Moreover, the Lord said, because the daughters of Zion are haughty and walk with stretched forth necks and wanting eyes, walking and mincing as they go, and making a tinkling with their feet. He said these judgments are coming because our sisters are out of order and our sisters are out of place. And there is no man that has the power to reel them in, no matter how much we care about our women. We cannot say anything to our women that will stop them in their tracks and bring them up under our subjection. We cannot say anything that causes our sisters to want to become submissive women and then just let a man be responsible for his house. He said, now, because you haughty, and you'd be surprised how many arrogant, haughty sisters that we got out here. Ain't nobody tell me what to do. Ain't no man gonna tell me this. I'm my own woman. I'm this, I'm that. That's what it means to be haughty. That's what it means to be prideful. He said that they walk with outstretched necks. That's pride. And they go about tinkling and menacing with their feet. The Most High said, I'm going to judge you because I didn't create you to be walking around like this, strutting around like you know peacock. I created you to be an upstanding, righteous woman. In order for you to be that, you have to first bring yourself up under the submission of the man, because that is what I told you in the beginning. Thy desire shall be unto thy husband, and he shall have rule over you. Not because you wasn't great, but because of your unharnessed power. When it's unharnessed, it becomes a destructive force in the world. So God has to put a man over you to keep that power in check. And when you're a woman that don't want to be brought up under the submission or the subjection of the man that God created and subjected everything that the work of his hands had made up under him, then you're going against the Father. So it says, therefore, because the daughters of Zion are haughty and walk with stretched forth necks and wanting eyes and mincing as they go, tinkling with their feet. Therefore the Lord shall smite them with the scab, the crown of the head, and the daughters of Zion, and the Lord would discover their secret part. Now, basically what you're looking at, he said, because these daughters of Zion are haughty, and because they're prideful, and because they're arrogant, and because they will not make themselves subjected to a man, I am going to humble them by first smiting them in the crown of their head. And believe you me, as a hairstylist of 35 years, I know that the daughters of Zion have been smited in the head. I know that they've been smited. Let's see what the smiting in the head means. In that day, the Lord will take away the bravery of their tinkling ornaments about their feet, and their gauze, and their round tires like the moon. He'll take away the chains and the bracelets and the mufflers. He'll take away the bonnets and the ointments and the ornaments of the legs, and he'll take away the headbands and the tablets of the earrings, the rings and the nose jewels. the changeable suits of apparel, and the mantles, and the whimpers, and the crisping pins. He'll take away the glasses, the fine linen. He'll take away the hoods and the veils. And it shall come to pass, instead of a sweet smell, there shall be a stink. And instead of a girdle, there shall be a rent. And instead of well-set hair, there shall be baldness. Instead of a stomacher, there shall be girding of sackcloth. And instead it shall be burning instead of beauty. Now, the Most High said, look, when I start humbling these sisters, all of the things that cause them to be prideful, namely their ability to get out and make money and buy all these things to dial themselves up on the outside and make themselves look good, the Most High said, I'm going to take away all that stuff. He said, I'm going to go farther than that. He said, and not only that cootie that you was trying to offer to everybody, instead of it having a sweet smelling savior permeating out of it, I'm going to cause it to stink with STDs, with yeast infections, with chlamydia, with gonorrhea, with syphilis, with AIDS, with all of these different venereal diseases that will cause a woman to have a stench. And believe you me, I ain't no stranger to this. I done pulled off some panties in times past and be like, what? I ain't touching that. I ain't touching that. The Most High said, and not only will I take away all of these things, I'm going to take away the thing that I gave her as a crown and her glory. He said, I'm going to smite her in the top of the crown, in the scalp, and I'm going to cause her to have baldness because I gave her this hair as her glory and her covering. Now, let me tell you something. For you know what? We have some sisters out here that they have justifiable. I tell the story all the time that when I was a hairstylist, back then, we pioneered hair weave. And we used the hair weave for our sister that might have been going through cancer, might have been going through early alopecia, might have been going through some type of scalp disorder. We were able to use that weave as a means to enhance their beauty to where they didn't have to be ashamed about the condition that their hair was in. But see, God ain't talking about this sister. He ain't talking about this sister. He talking about that woman that's out there with the Brazilian weave, walking around like that's really her hair, missing and tinkling with her feet, with her jewelry and with her ankle bracelets on, with her eyelashes on, with her nails on. He talking about that woman right there. He said, I'm going to take it all, and I'm going to smite her in the top of the crown with baldness. He said, because I'm going to humble her. And I say it all the time because I'm frequently in places where it's always women. But hey, you better not dare put that arrogance in my direction because I'll pull your weave off. And I know that if your weave come off, it's going to be instant shame up under there. See, our sisters that have scalp disorders, they don't have to feel no shame because this is not talking about them. This is talking about the arrogant women who think that all this makeup and all this extracurricular stuff that they have learned at the hands of the fallen angels that they once lusted after and allowed them to teach them these things as a means to deceive the minds of men to bring them into fornication. It's coming a time that God gonna judge them for it. So let's show you what's gonna happen. Instead, it shall come to pass, instead of a sweet smell, there shall be a stink. Instead of a girdle, there shall be a rent. Instead of well-set hair, there shall be baldness. And instead of a stomacher, a girdle, and a girdle of sackcloth, and burning instead of beauty. Their men shall fall by the sword, and the mighty in war. He said, another thing I'm going to chastise you with is there's going to be a shortage of men. Your men going to fall. Right now, our men are falling by the sword daily. Our men are falling by the sword of weaponry. Our men are falling by the sword of homosexuality. Our men are falling by the sword of the penal and correction institutions of this world. And it's creating a shortage of men. And all the women are chasing after one type of man who is a grimy man that God is going to use to bring them to an utter place of destruction. Now, he said, your men gonna fall by the sword, and her gates shall lament and mourn. And she being made desolate shall sit up on the ground. That's what many of our sisters have in their future. You're going to sit on the ground, broken and battered and abused for the bad choices and the decisions that you make that were against God by not allowing the man to be the man and be the accountability and have rule over you and keep you in the place that was pleasing to the Most High. And you're going to suffer for it. Let's go. We're going right into the 4th chapter. Isaiah chapter 4. You sisters want to go and read this for yourself, you can. He said, in those days, when I smite them with baldness, and when I take away their jobs, and I cause them to not be able to do all the things that they once did, when I start taking away all of the things that made them beautiful, when I start causing their vagina to stink to the point where a man don't want to touch it, he said, in that day, and that day is more closer than you believe, in that day 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and we will wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach or our shame. Because it's a shame for a woman to live her whole life and never experience what marriage is, what marriage was supposed to be like. Because they know that God created marriage. It's a shameful thing when we start getting 40 and 50 years old and we still ain't got no husband. You still ain't got nobody to care for you and be responsible for you. But their mindset ain't changed. And so not only is it judgment on the sisters, it's going to be judgment on the grimy men that fall as victims to these sisters who are now in acts of desperation. Let's see. Acts of desperation. In that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and we will wear our own apparel. Let us only be called by thy name, to take away our reproach and our shame. Now, let's get this straight. You got more now talks of polygynous relationships than ever heard before in the history of our existence in this Western hemisphere. So let's go and dot the I's and cross the T's and say what we're not saying before we say what we are saying. We are not saying that polygamous relationships cannot be found in the scripture, because they can. You have Elkanah, who had Peninnah and Hannah. You had Jacob, who had the two sisters, and then the 2 sisters' handmaids. However, people want to classify Jacob as having 4 wives, but truth of the matter is Jacob only had 1 wife, because Jacob loved the wife that he first worked for 7 years. His uncle tricked him into taking the oldest daughter first. He had to work another 7 years to get the woman that he loved. Nevertheless, he ended up stuck with both of them. And then the last 2 were the younger sisters of Rachel. And they were given to each one of the older daughters as handmaids. Even though Jacob ended up having children by all of them could not be classified as wives. And let the truth be told, because we don't like to tell the truth. We say that we from the 4th tribe and from the tribe of Judah, but we don't tell the truth about our father. Jacob literally hated our mother because he was tricked into taking her as a wife, and that wasn't what he worked for, and that wasn't part of his agreement. And so we understand that these relationships are in the Bible. We know that Solomon had 300 wives and 700 concubines. But what you ain't looking at is you're not looking at the fact that it was this thing right here that caused the kingdom of Israel to be totally split in 2 down the middle. You don't realize that Hannah and Peninnah were 2 wives that were gathered. Now, Peninnah used to be able to have babies, but Hannah's womb was barren, and Peninnah drove her crazy because she couldn't have children until she became a woman of a sorrowful spirit and prayed in the temple. And then God opened her womb and produced in her life a Samuel, who was the prophet of Israel. When you look at the story of Jacob and the wives, or what came with that, and you look at the trouble that was caused in the family of Israel, how even one of Jacob's sons even slept with his father's wife. When you look at the trouble that came through these families being intermingled like that, yeah, you can see it in the Bible. Yes, you can see it in the Bible. Yes, you can see it done. There was a time in Egypt that it said that the Israelites were multiplying far more faster than the Egyptians. That's because it could have very well been because of these type of relationships right here. So we're not saying that they're not in the Bible. What we are saying is that you should check your motive, because we know that's written in the Bible. As Israel were going to battle, men would die. Somebody would have to assume the responsibility for their wives and for their children. We know this in the Bible. When a man died before he could have children, then one of his brothers would take the wife and produce children that his name could go on. You see, all these scenarios are in the Bible, but it was a purpose for every last one of them, and they were not driven by hungry pussies. And so they're going to try to justify these things in the days to come. And I'm not against building. My only concern is the family structure. And the family structure has to be built purely on good motives and good intents and righteousness. The family structure cannot be built, and you cannot confuse God's judgment with what your forefathers did. He said when God started judging these women, when he closed up everything, when he take everything that made them prideful, when he make it to where they can no longer go to the Chinese shop and buy hair weave to cover up their shame, and when he pull the weave off and they forced to walk around bald, know that ain't no chances of them getting a man that's going to care for them, when they got 75 bodies up under their belt, when they done slept with everybody in the neighborhood, when they done had foul mouths and been promiscuous and been prostitutes and whores and hookers for the whole world to see in their rebellion. When God takes away all of those things, when he takes away all the things that cause them to be prideful, they shall lay on the ground in anguish, but they still will be unrepentant. How do we know they'll be unrepentant? Because in that day, seven of these women that have hit the wall. To hit the wall is when you get past 35, and no matter how many dates you go out on, you still can't find a man that's willing to make you a wife, because you're still arrogant. You're 35 years old and you still want a man. I'm 35. He got to make this much money. He got to look like this. He got to drive this. He got to drive that. And you wore out. And you find out that don't no man want that. Desperate people going to do desperate things. And now where you used to want a man all to yourself, now you're so desperate that you're so desperate and the pussy is hungry because ain't no men messing with it. You'll do anything, and now you'll go and get your sisters and then try to entice them and say, let us take hold of this one man. Oh, you ain't got to worry about it. You ain't got to worry about it. We'll eat our own food and we'll buy our own stuff, and you ain't got to take care of us. We'll take care of ourselves. Only let us be called your wife so our pussies can get fed. Only let us be called your wife. And guess what? There is judgment that's coming upon the grimy brothers who have always been motivated to feel the hungry pussy. And 7 women in one house looks real good to them. But what they don't understand is those 7 modernized, westernized, thought-thinking women, them 7 rebellious, non-submissive women are going to come into that man's house and wreak havoc and destruction on him like he ain't never seen before in his life, because it's now time for God to start judging him. You see? And we see it all day long on Facebook. Everybody talking about polygyny. Everybody talking about polygyny. But see, everybody's mind ain't right. Everybody don't have the right idea. I got sons that's operating in that manner. You understand what I'm saying? But guess what? They got me too to make sure that you're going to operate in righteousness according to what God can say. Once you get it, ain't no giving it up. You're going to be a man. You're going to stand up and be a man. You invited it in. You're going to keep it in. You're going to be responsible for it. You're going to be responsible for the children. You're going to be responsible for everything that you're supposed to be, because you ain't going to do this motivated out of lust. You ain't going to do it motivated out of lust. And I'm entangled up with all these camp knuckleheads and all these community knuckleheads who are controlled by lust. Well, let them go on and do it, because God's judgment is standing over them. Standing over them. Because that wasn't what God intended when he created marriage. But because for the sake of the preservation of Israel, things were instituted in our culture that will cause the family of Israel to be protected. You got men out here talking about, they ain't going to take care of another man's baby. They ain't going to be responsible for this. Well, you know what? You think them 7 women that's coming with hungry pussies are coming by themselves? They ain't coming by themselves. And we so motivated. And you know we motivated because scripture can back up everything. In the book of Sirach, Ecclesiasticus, it says, be a father to the fatherless instead of a husband unto the mother. You see, we got it backwards. We don't want to take care of another brother's children who have fallen down unless we can benefit by getting some booty from the mother. But if you want to be a God man, let me see you take care of those children while their father have fallen down and you don't want nothing from the mother. He said, and so shall God love you more than your own mother that gave you birth. Love you. We don't want that. We don't want that. See, there's a difference between a God man and a grimy man. See, a God man will move by the Spirit. He ain't got to be confused about what he's saying. He can make everything plain as day. Ain't nobody going to come and stand up with no defense against him because he operates by the Spirit. A God man knows what is expected of him when it comes down to him being the gatekeeper of his home. A God man knows what's expected of him when it comes to how he treating his wife, how he treating his children. Oh, no God man, let no woman do whatever she want to do. And the reason why these sisters find themselves in that condition, and you might be a sister, and you might say, damn, I never seen it like that, brother. But I'm in that condition right now. I'm lonely right now. I don't have a mate right now. And I'm slowly getting older. He said, I know I got some good woman in me. I done made a few mistakes, but God done forgave me. I still desire to have somebody in my life. Well, you keep that mindset, sister, because God got a man with your name written on him. Only thing he got to do is find you. But you got to put yourself in a position to where you're willing to commit your life to the Lord. I'm going to commit my life to the Lord. Create in me a clean heart and renew a right spirit in me so that I can be operating like you desire for me. And let me operate like this until the man that you got for me find me. Don't let me be found pulling my panties off for another man after I done seen the last 10 times it ain't gonna work, ain't never work. Don't let me keep on repeating the same foolishness. You might be a brother that said, boy, you hit it right on the nail. I've been a sucker. I've been a has-been. I wasn't no player. I was a payer, but I've been paying for it with my own life and with my own strength when I know that the Bible told me, give not my strength unto women. I've kept continuously laying down with any woman that offered me anything only to find out that I've been used and I've been had I've been laying down with women that ain't had no intention on serving the Most High. I've been wasting my life and just giving my strength away. Oh, here's something for you, brother. Fall down on your face and tell the Father, I fell as a victim to fornication. There was no upstanding men, no God men that I could look at that could teach me as a young man how to walk in the right direction. And I fell as a victim. But now I can see clearly because I paid for the lesson with my life. I understand what the old folks used to say, that a bought lesson is greater than a taught lesson. And I paid for the lesson with my life. If you can forgive me, Lord, I know my life ain't over. I still desire to have a woman that's on my team. I know she's out there somewhere. See, a man is in that condition and a woman is in that condition. And when they both on two different spectrums make up their mind to do right by God, God allow that man to go and find that woman. Listen, it's all about what you want, because God's word ain't going to change. To my brothers out there that always want a heart on polygamy, always want a heart, ain't got no college education, ain't got a good job, barely paying rent. Some of you ain't even got a car, talking about multiple wives, can't assume the responsibility for yourself, but you're trying to justify 2 or 3 wives because you're lust-driven. Let me ask you a question. Since you can find it in the scriptures that your ancient ancestors done it, let me see if you can operate like your ancestors did. Because when men would fall into battle, a woman couldn't sustain herself. She couldn't take care of her children because she didn't work. She didn't have no finances going on. And it wasn't no prostitution out like that because she'd be stoned to death. She didn't have no choice but to depend on God to send somebody to come and do it. Now let's see you do what your ancient ancestors did. Let's say you take those 2 or 3 women, and those 2 or 3 women all got 2 or 3 children, and none of them work. You got to go out, and you got to win the bread. You got to buy the groceries. You got to be responsible for the rent, for the lights, for the gas, and the water, as everything have doubled and tripled, and nobody works but you. And you have to go and work 2 jobs and 3 jobs and beat yourself half to death to take care of these children. You think you can do it? Can you do it? But I don't care where they come from. I don't care if it's these camp jokers. I don't care if it's your community leaders out there. I don't care if it's an average, everyday Hebrew Israelite with this mindset. If you ain't prepared to take the women and assume the full responsibility for them and the children while they don't work, you think you still want it? Is the hungry pussy that valuable to you? Do you think you still want it? Now, everybody that's on this thread, if you think in this hour of grimy men who still don't want to work, still would rather sell dope, grimy men who are still robbing and killing and murdering, grimy men in this hour, if you think that you couldn't find a man to take on the responsibility of 2 or 3 women with their children, and none of them work, if you think that a man wouldn't do it, put a 7 in there. So you got a man that takes on 3 women, and each one of those women produces 2 or 3 children. Do you think that the man will want the polygamous relationship if none of them work? If you don't believe he would do it, put a 7 up in there. If you don't believe that a man wants the responsibility of 3 or 4 wives with children and they don't work, do you think he still wants a polygamous relationship? Look at the 7s go up there. 7 represent the number of completion, the number of perfection. 7 is God's number. 7 is God's number of the Spirit. Look at the 7s go up in there. You see? Elder Emmanuel said, he have done it. Well, Elder Emmanuel been over in Israel for over 40 years. He have more contact in a situation to where they have left a country and moved back to the home country, where there was no sustenance for people. There was no jobs for people. The avenues or the things that they had access in the Americas, they didn't have access to over there. They went over there as a family. If Elder Emmanuel done it, he understood he had to do it. You think a man gonna do it? Do you think a man gonna take 3 women and all of her children and tell them all, y'all don't work, y'all just take care of the things around the house and take care of these things, and I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna provide and I'm gonna make sure that everything is good for y'all? Do y'all think he would do it? If y'all don't think he would do it, put a 7 up in there. You see? You take these community leaders, for instance, they want to argue about polygamy. Ain't nothing for me to argue about. I know that you're lust-driven. I know that you're lust-driven. And just the very community organization within itself says something about what a man is. 3 chief things that are sufficient for every man's life is food and water, clothing, and a house to cover their shame. Every man should have their own house. You shouldn't have no whole body collectively of men coming together to produce a good living for one joker that's at the head of everything. When the Messiah said, we are all brothers, ain't no big eyes, ain't no little U's. Every man need to be able to assume the responsibility for his own house. You try to justify. This is prophecy. This is coming out. I just seen a video yesterday where you got a sister on there that's persuading other sisters why it's so important that they invite other women into their marriage. Let me tell you something. Some of you got the right idea, but some of these sisters have gotten in desperation mode, and desperate people do desperate things. And you can be a wholesome sister, a beautiful sister with the right motive and the right mindset to build. And you got to be careful that you don't let one of these desperados enter into your marital union to where they're going to begin now to wreak havoc. They have to have a full understanding. And as I said before, I'm not against polygynous relationships because they can be found in the scripture. However, I have too much knowledge on them to understand why they existed in the first place to just go for anything. And many of these clowns out here will read Isaiah 4th chapter without understanding that first verse is an extension of the previous verses from 12 through its entirety in the 3rd chapter. And that first verse of the 4th chapter of Isaiah is the final cap off of the judgment upon the daughters of Zion and grimy men. And they'll read that by itself and say, see, it's right here. In the last day, it say 7 women going to take hold of 1 man. But you don't understand what it is. It is going to happen. It's happening right now. And I wish that we could go and ask some of the brothers. I wish we can go and ask some of the brothers of the havoc that is being wreaked because they didn't understand that scripture. And see, when you don't understand, when you ain't moving by the Spirit, how you going to be accountable to what the Most High declared for you? How you going to do it? You see, it's judgment. The sword has a double edge. It cuts both ways. It cut both ways. You see? And I got sons. I got adopted sons that have these relationships. You see? And I don't understand. I don't know where they were at when they had them or when they decided to go into them. None of that matters to me because I understand why they existed. And the same thing I tell mine. Well, you know what? Come on over here. I'll lick your wounds, but ain't no need in crying. Ain't no need in crying. You get your butt right back over there and fight. It's what you wanted. It's what you agreed upon. And now God's requiring something of you. He has a great expectancy of you. And you got brothers that want to enter into these things and then find out that havoc being reaped because they wasn't well enough educated about it and want to throw the women away. Nah, I ain't no throwing the women away. Ain't no throwing the women away. When you get in there, you should know what you're doing. And once they get in there, they stay in there. And you either going to make it a family structure to exemplify the Father's righteousness in this world, or you're going to be most miserable, falling again as another victim to a hungry pussy. You see, desperate people going to do desperate things. So hear me. I'm not talking about my brothers or my sisters in no bad way. You see, when Joshua was getting ready to take the city of Jericho, he and the priests and the mighty men of valor and the people all came to the walls of Jericho. And they were withstood. It was a mighty man of valor standing before the wall, dressed in armor, ready for battle. And Joshua asked him a question. He said, are you for us, brothers? Or are you for them, sisters? And the mighty man of valor said, I'm not for neither one of you. I am the captain of the host of the Lord's armies. It don't matter what you think about me. I don't take the woman's side. I don't take the man's side. I'm taking God's side. God has a purpose for the man and a purpose for the woman. And the mighty man of valor stands in the middle and declares what God means for them to hear. So it wasn't important whose side the mighty man of valor was on. What was important was for Joshua to understand whose side he was on. Are you prepared to be obedient to the Most High? That's the only thing that matters. So, that's what's coming. And there ain't not been one time that we got out using this Bible, dealing with prophecy. And the things that were prophesied didn't roll out there. They're rolling out there. Like say, peace, blessings be upon all the brothers and sisters in social media land. And for all the brothers and sisters, no matter which end of the spectrum that you fit on, God is still who he is. Some of us just need to repent, come face to face with the mistakes that we have made. Let the Most High shine a spotlight on our failures so that we're not destined to keep repeating the same things. Those brothers and sisters who have been through divorce, who have find themselves single and all that, understand that your life ain't over. When we have a made up mind and we're ready to live the life that God is setting before us, then the Most High is able to restore unto us the years that the cankerworm, the palmer worm, and the locust devoured. He is able to do like Job. He said, I'm going to give you double for your trouble. I'm able to give back everything that you lost, and I can give it back in less time than it took you to lose it. So let's get it.